everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have the, what do you want to call it, worst books of 2022, most disappointing books of 2022, whatever you want to call it. These are just books that I've rated really low or I've DNF'd, and these are my disappointing reads, worst books that I've read this year, just all of that. So let's just go ahead and jump in, because I actually have a pretty lengthy list. And it's so funny to me that when I rate a book 3 stars, sometimes I can't remember the names of the characters or really the plot or really anything that happened. But with these books, I know what happened and why I didn't like them, which I find it funny because they're rated really low. So I went in order of January through December. So these are from like the beginning of the year through the end of the year. So I didn't have that many at the beginning of the year because I read some really good books at the beginning of the year. But one that I found was really disappointing to me. It's not really the worst book, but it's really disappointing to me, and that's A River of Shadows by Karina Halley. So I'm a huge fan of Karina Halley. I love Black Sunshine. That is one of the most epic fantasy romances I've read. Just Fated Mates. I just love it so much when I read it. Now, I know that is an unpopular opinion, but River of Shadows really let me down, only because it's supposed to be this retelling kind of, was it Norse? Finnish mythology. And our female character, I don't really remember her name, but something happens. She goes to Finland, I think, or one of those countries, and because her father was passing away or has passed away, she goes there, and then she like stumbles across the like death incarnate, I think. And I just felt that it was not the same writing as Karina Halley, which kind of let me down because I really like her fantasy stuff. Don't get me wrong, I like her contemporary stuff too, but for some reason that one just really let me down, and I was like, what? Why? I don't know. I gave it 2.5 stars. I felt that it was super slow. Nothing really happened in the first book, and for her to have a second book come out, I don't know if it's out or if it's about to come out, but I just felt like there was no point of dragging all of that stuff out. We didn't even meet the main male character, like the love interest, I think till halfway through the book, almost halfway through the book, and I just really let down with that book. I felt like it wasn't up to par with some of her other stuff. So yeah, that one was really disappointing to me. Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. We picked this for our cover to cover book club that I actually run with Sam from Sam Reads Little. And we picked this because we were super excited. I think we both liked It Happened One Summer. I know I did. I enjoyed that story. And we got a little taste of what the characters, what they were going to do in Hook, Line, and Sinker. And It Happened One Summer, and I was super excited. I thought it was going to be friends to lovers, and it was going to be great. And it was not that. It was this weird contemporary with some romance, and I didn't even feel like they had a connection. Like, I felt like they had a connection more in It Happened One Summer, when we saw them like very briefly, than the whole book that they got. I just did not feel connected to them. I didn't believe their romance. And I wanted to, so I think I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars, and I think Sam gave it 2. We do have a whole discussion on this. It's either on my channel or her channel, but yeah, it was not good. This one was not good for me. I was really let down because I loved It Happened One Summer. It was a great book, but this one was such a letdown. Another one that's actually going to surprise people is Fall Boys, whatever, by Penelope Douglas, the new book that came out this year. I think we also read this for cover to cover one of the months, and I gave this book 2 stars. I'm a huge Penelope Douglas fan. Like, Credence is one of my top books of this year. I love Pen Douglas, and just this one, I've heard from a lot of people that if you haven't read the Falls Boys series, no, is it the Fallaway series? There's a series of like their parents, and this is the second generation, so the kids. And if you haven't read that series, you don't get a lot of stuff that's happening. And that totally makes sense because there were so many things that like should have been like assumed that we knew about who this person was and while they were doing this and why they were searching for that. And I was like, I have no idea what the hell's going on in this book. I have no clue. I don't understand what is happening. I just did not understand. And a lot of people said when you read that series, the first series, their parents, that you'll get a lot of more information. And I thought, oh, well, why is this a separate series then if I have to read that series first? So I do plan to read that series. I think my library has all of the audiobooks, which is nice. I think there's only 4 or 5 books too, so it's not that many, but I want to read it and then maybe go back and reread this and see if like my opinion has changed. But yeah, that one was a 2-star read. I was really disappointed with that one. Another one is Stolen by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd. I give this one 2 stars, and I honestly feel like this is being generous. I loved the first 2 books. And then when this 3rd book came out, I was really excited because I really enjoyed the 2 books. I mean, don't get me wrong, book 2 is my favorite. And I read this book and I thought, what the fuck happened? I thought, where's the editing? What story is she trying to write? I did not feel the romance between the characters. I just thought it was kind of horrible compared to all the other books. And I was honestly shocked. Honestly shocked because it was like a complete 180, 360 degree turn from what the other book was. So I don't know if I'm going to continue on with this series. I think she's had a couple more books come out, but yeah, that one was not good. I did not like that one. Another one that's going to surprise some people, well, maybe not, because I've heard this a lot, and that is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I love Lauren Asher. Her Formula One series is so, not the whole series, but the last two in the Formula One series is so, so good, and I'm honestly surprised that The Fine Print and, what is the next one? What is the Dreamland, whatever Dreamland Billionaires, Terms and Conditions. I don't know why these two books got picked up by Bloom. Out of all of her books, why these two? I don't know if it's because they're billionaires, but I was so annoyed with the whole thing with this book. I did not like the characters. I didn't like what he was doing, how he kept things a secret from her. And then, of course, that was going to be the whole problem between them. Like, of course it was. You could see it coming from the beginning. Like, even the perception of how Disney, I worked at Disney, and it was close, but it wasn't like exactly. And I was just like, no, I don't really like this. I was just really surprised this got picked up by Bloom and why everyone loves it. I don't know why. I don't know why everyone loves it. Even Terms and Conditions, I think I gave like 3.5 stars. 4 stars, maybe? Maybe. That's big, maybe. So yeah, I was just really like disappointed in that one. Now, this is a worse book. The next one I'm going to talk about is the worst book that I've read this year. Hands down, the worst book. And I will not stop shouting about it until like people just stop reading in this book, and that is Light Lark by Alex Astridge. You see me sit up because I got to get ready to talk about this. This book I read for a reading blog. I read Belladonna, which is a great book. Loved that book. Highly recommend that book. And I read this book. Picked them both up at Barnes & Noble during the spooky season. I thought because they're YA, not as going to be spooky because I don't do horror and stuff like that. Belladonna, top tier. Love that book, right? Tell me why this book is being picked up for a movie. Why is this book getting so much attention? Why is this author getting so much attention? This book was trash. When I tell you there are so many plot holes in this book that are blatantly obvious. Like sometimes I can look over, especially in a fantasy or YA fantasy, I can look over some plot holes, especially if you're a new author. She's a new author, I think, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how this book is traditionally published. I don't know who the hell let this go by. I don't know what it was. The romance was stupid. Literally didn't make any sense. The other characters literally didn't make any sense. There were so many questions I had at the end of the book that she just let go. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is this so popular? I could rant about this book all day long. I just do not understand. Like, if you have loved this book, tell me I'm wrong. Like, tell me I am wrong, and I will love to have a conversation with you. But I honestly do not understand why I read that book. And I don't understand why it's so popular. Like, another one is Pen Pal. This is a very polarizing thing. Now, I think I rated this 2.5 stars. I did read this for a cover-to-cover book club with Sam. We also had Nikki and McKay join us because they also read it for that book club. So we had a joint combined live show. Now, my biggest thing with this is that originally it was marketed as a romance with a non-traditional HEA. No, this does not have an HEA. This is not what I would consider a romance. This is more like suspense. I don't even know what the other, thriller-esque, thriller suspense. I don't know what the word would be. I mean, there is some romance in it, but I just think that the way it was marketed, JT Geisinger tried to like dupe people, and it pissed a lot of people off. Like when you say it's a romance and you don't give the characters a true HEA, happily ever after, you're going to piss some people off. And that's exactly what she did. And I know a lot of the ARC readers were really pissed off because it's not a romance. But then when I read it, I just felt like it wasn't, I could see what she was trying to do, but I didn't think that it actually played out that way. I don't think she executed it in the right way, unfortunately. I've read some other of her stuff. I enjoyed it, but I think that maybe she should skip whatever this genre is. I think she should not do it again. The next one I have is actually a series that I DNF'd, and that is the Bonds That Tie series by Jay Bree. So I know a lot of people love this book and this series, and it's well beloved and all of that, but I was actually really disappointed because I know a lot of people really do love it. So me and my friends, we decided to do a read along of this. And I got through 2 books. I think most of us got through 2, and McKay got through 3. And she was one of the first ones to finish book 3. And she said, guys, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And I think Cheyenne may have been starting book 3, and none of us started book 3 yet. And we were like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't like this. So with this, the reason why it was so disappointing is it bugs me when you have a character, especially the female character. This is a wide shoe. So it's like 6 guys and her, 5 girls and this girl. I don't even remember how many people. Like, sometimes it's too much. Like, I can't keep track of all of them. You know what I mean? And I felt like with this, she was keeping secrets, but she was like telling the story. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell that there was something going on, right? But by the 3rd book, I guess through the 3rd book, McKay said it didn't even come out by then. And I'm like, we're halfway through the series. Why can't I know this secret? Like, unless it's part of the plot twist, but I didn't see that. So I was just like, it was okay to me. I think I gave the books 3.5 stars, 3 stars, the first 2 that I read. Like, it wasn't the worst thing I've read. It was just disappointing because everyone has hyped it up. Do you know what I mean? And I just didn't think it was that interesting. This one's gonna make a lot of people mad. And I think I read this book at the wrong time for me. And that's Devil in Dublin by B.B. Easton. So Just a Piece of Books, we usually are pretty on par about books. Like, if she rates it 4 or 5 stars, I'll pretty much rate it 4.5 stars. 4 or 5 stars. If she doesn't like a book, I'll pretty much not like the book. I read this and I gave it, what did I give it? 2 stars? I hated this book. I love dark. I love mafia. I love a morally great character. And he just, I don't know what the hell she wrote and why she wrote it the way she did. I did not like it. But a lot of my friends were reading it after and they loved it. And I was like, is it me? Am I the drama? Like, am I the problem? Am I the one that read this and I just read it at the wrong time? Like, I also listened to the audiobook. Like, should I have not listened to audio? I don't know. I just did. I was really excited for this one too. And I guess I had too high of expectations, but I also never read anything by B.B. Easton. So I don't know if I'm ever going to again because I was so mad. I was so mad after I read this book. I just did not like it. Another one is The Beast by Jenica Snow. I also figured out that Jenica Snow is not for me. I gave this 2 stars. This is a novella length book. And I just felt like the way that she wrote it, obviously this is like Beauty and the Beast kind of, and he is a literal beast. Literal beast. He is hairy, and there's a part where she's bathing him and he's hairy and she finds it attractive. And I was like, oh, hell no. No. I can do a lot of things in romance. I can read a lot of things. I can get past that. Bestiality, apparently, like true bestiality, I cannot. He had a tail and she was like stroking the tail. No. Honey, no, I could not do that. Another one that let me down. It's not the worst book, but let me down was Manic by Amo Jones. I've tried Amo Jones. This was like the 3rd time I tried Amo Jones, and I just don't think her writing is for me and the way that she tells a romance story. Not saying that she's a bad writer or anything like that. I just don't enjoy the way that she tells the story. And not every author is going to be for everyone, which is totally fine. But I gave Manic 2 stars. I just didn't like it. I don't like how she writes things very, very quick. It's like she jumps right into the romance and there's no like build up. And sometimes I need to be like warmed up to certain romances. And this was just not for me. So I was a little sad because I wanted to love Amo because some of my friends really love Amo. I just can't get into it. Cannot get into it. Another one that actually let me down is Consider Me by Becca Mack. So everyone has been screaming that this book is amazing, 5-star read. Not really on BookTube, but more on Bookstagram. And I read it, and first, this book is way too long. It is a contemporary hockey romance. It does not need to be like close to 500 pages, okay? If your contemporary romance book is longer than some fantasy romance books, you got a problem. That's a problem. Like, you need to give me some good shit in that contemporary romance, like emotional baggage that gets dragged through the mud for it to be a good book. And this book was not it. It was too much back and forth with the characters, too much of the, you're a playboy, I don't know if I should be with you, I don't know if you're really serious. And he's like, I'm fucking serious. And she's like, no, I don't know if you're serious. Like, I don't know if I can be with you. It's like, he's serious. I just didn't like it. It wasn't really for me. I don't think that it's a 5-star. Like, compared to some of the 5-star books I've had this year, I could not put that book even close to it. I just don't really like. Her writing's not bad. It's not the writing, it's the back and forth, the way that she told the story. She was trying to be like very angsty and it did not turn out the way. It was not angsty, it was annoying. Like, the first 50% of the book was great. She should have cut down the last 50% down to like 20%, and it would have been like a solid 4.5 star read. I did not like this one. And I know a lot of people like Play With Me, which is the next book. I think follows one of his friends or something like that, and I'm really put off on reading it because I'm like, I can't keep doing this long book thing where I get nothing out of it. Like, I didn't feel satisfied after, and yeah, that was really, really disappointing. Another one was really disappointing was It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I loved It Ends With Us. I love that book. I think it's a great story. And I was really nervous to read It Starts With Us because I was scared it was going to be a cash grab. And that's exactly what it is. I don't have a problem saying that. I honestly think it's a cash grab. She wrote it for the people who blew up It Ends With Us on TikTok. And they wanted Atlas's story. And I don't know why you would want that story, because at the end of the book, you get it. They literally live happily ever after. Like, her and Atlas live happily ever after. And It Starts With Us was an extended epilogue. And I hate that. I've discovered that this year. I love epilogues if they're a chapter or two. I hate extended epilogues. Do not give me basically a whole ass book to tell me that they're living happily ever after and having this perfect life. I get it. That's the end of a romance. I want them to do that. I don't need to read it and constantly see that. Unless if it's like combined with another story. Do you know what I mean? Like another love story of their friends and you see them being happy. Like, don't give me that shit. This is just Atlas and her living their life, trying to, trying to co-parent with Ryle and all of this stuff. Like, I don't need that. I don't need a full-length book for that. So I bought the paperback and I'm mad because I spent money on that even though I didn't need to. Another book that I thought was one of the worst books that I've read this year is God of Malice by Rena Kent. I gave it 1 star. If I wasn't reading this fucking book for a reading vlog, I would have DNF'd it. I also figured out Rena Kent is not for me. So if you constantly recommend Rena Kent to me, stop, because I'm not going to read it. I just don't like her writing. I don't think that she does morally great characters very well. I don't think there's many other authors out there that does morally gray psycho characters better. And I just think that hers are just like they're mean guys that find a girl that they're kind of interested in, and then they get with the girl, and the girl's like, well, I guess he's an asshole. He's always going to be an asshole. I guess I'm going to be okay with that. Like, they never soften. I hate the way that she writes heroes and heroines and the stories, and she's not for me. Another one that I'm going to talk about that I've talked about multiple times is Anastasia by Sophie Lark. In gist, because I don't want this video to constantly be too long, in gist, I feel like this book, she took way too much on, and it did not turn out the way she wanted it to. It wasn't executed the right way. When you have a historical figure like Anastasia and the Romanov family, you have to do a lot of historical research, and she did, and that took a lot more time. On top of that, you have to make sure that your story stays historically accurate, at least to a degree. You also have a fantasy world that she's creating, and this magic system that she created from scratch, and she has to make sure that all stays in play. Also, at the same time, you have this love story that you're trying to tell, along with keeping all those other things intact, and I think it was way too long. It does not need to be that long. I don't need to see her at 11 years old. The reasons why she wanted them to be 11, or at least Anastasia, was to see how much her family was controlling and stuff like that. I didn't get that. I mean, like, saying that, I'm like, oh, okay, I get your point. That wasn't executed that way. So yeah, I just don't think that this was a good book. Also, I feel like it was not edited in her normal way and written in her normal way. So I'll just leave it at that. And the last book I have to talk about is The Sinner by Chantal Tessier. I love The Ritual. Recommend The Ritual. This one, I thought it was just spicy, kinky goodness. And then like 40% of the way into the book, we tried to switch to have an emotional character and like why she is the way she is. And I was like, pause. You can't introduce a book with all these kinks and spicy time and sexy time and a crazy ass hero and then try and go emotional. No. So I DNF'd it. This one I was like, no, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Okay. So I wanted to read the spice and the kinks, and that just didn't work out. But those are some of my worst books of the year and most disappointing books of the year. Drop me any emoji you want. Drop me your favorite emoji, your top used emoji, like the one that's always at the top. Drop me that in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe for more content from me. I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.